I told him, you tell me how much area you have this under this USF, unclassified USF for, sir, I can't tell you. Only thing is that you can derive from Forest Survey of India report that this is forest, this is tree cover, and out of these are reserve forests, these are proposed reserve forests, these are another kind of, these are protected area sanctuaries. What I have seen all through my career, everywhere, whether it is forest or any other department, that sense of ownership is not there. That is the biggest problem. This is my protected area, this is my sanctuary, this is my national park, this is my reserve forest. That sense of ownership is not there. So far as biodiversity is concerned, biodiversity, they have Biodiversity Act, and then under that they have rule. Again, any law or rule, it is as good as their implementation. I asked the chowkidar of Circuit House, कुछ मीट वीट बिकता है, नहीं बिकता इधर? बोला सर ऑफिसर लोग जो है 7,000 रुपये में हिरन खरीदते हैं यहाँ पर, वो मैं पकाता हूँ. I wrote that in the report. There are many species. For example, we don't know the status of Bintu rank. We don't know the status of Malayan sun bear. We don't know the status, proper status of say Bengal florican. And we don't know the status of butterflies. We don't know the status of orchids in many areas. We don't know the status of say canes. Normally we think that if they have made some kill, the tiger has made some kill, tiger will remain there unless the whole flesh is finished. They don't do that. The moment they suspect that something is there, and there are some veterinary doctors who are on the trail of the tigress, then they know the scent of veterinary doctors. Then I am a veterinary doctor, you think you are very smart. This tigress is much more smarter than you. Development is a highly debatable subject. We don't know what is development. Because when GDP is growing, we see that once one person's GDP is growing by 50%, 60, 70%, another person's is growing by 1%. And if you really deflate, then his GDP is not growing. Politicians just respond to the pulse of the public, and bureaucrats just respond to the pulse of the politicians.
Of the Vidhi Center for Legal Policy, I warmly welcome you all to the third episode of Season 2 of Green Mandate, supported by Rainmatter Foundation and Mr. Sandeep Singhal. Vidhi is an independent policy research think tank doing legal research to make better laws and improve governance for public good. With offices in New Delhi, Karnataka, and Mumbai, we aim to deliver high-quality, peer-reviewed, original legal research and engage with government, public institutions, and other CSOs and experts to inform policy making. The Climate and Ecosystems team at Vidhi aims to reform conservation laws to make them more eco-centric and proactive. Our vision is to create effective, responsive, and relevant laws to address contemporary environmental challenges and ensure a safer future for people, non-human life forms, and natural ecosystems. We believe that meaningful public engagement, both at the time of the framing as well as implementation, is critical for the success of any law and policy. The Green Mandate is a talk series launched in the year 2022. The series was started to create a platform to dive deep into issues and develop an in-depth understanding of the nuances and complexities involved in modern conservation challenges. In the last season of the Green Mandate, we held discussions with renowned personalities working on diverse issues like wildlife protection, climate finance, circular economy, biodiversity management, etc. Our last Green Mandate was held in Cuttack with Mr. Prafulla Samantra, who's known for leading the legal battle in the case of against Vedanta Resources, supporting indigenous tribe in their protest against mining proposal in Niyamgiri Hills. To comprehend the ecological and cultural significance of Northeast India's forests and to address the diverse governance issues that impact the conservation efforts within the exceptionally biodiverse region of India, we are here today with another episode of the Green Mandate with a discussion on the topic Forest and Biodiversity Governance in Northeast India with Mr. Prakash Bankhwal, former PCCF officer and Chief Wildlife Warden, Assam. The discussion will be moderated by Vidhi's Climate and Ecosystem Lead, Debaditya Sinha. To introduce our speaker today, Mr. Bankhwal, Prakash Bankhwal is a distinguished officer from the 1985 batch of the Indian Forest Service, culminated his career as the Principal Chief Conservator of Forests and Chief Wildlife Warden for the Government of Assam in 2019. He also held the role of Inspector General Eastern Zone for the NTCA, Government of India, for over 5 years. His experience includes serving at some of the most prominent positions in the government. Post-retirement, he worked with the Wildlife Conservation Society, spearheading the wildlife law enforcement and counter-trafficking program, where he held training programs for forest officials, police, and paramilitary personnel from the northeastern states and West Bengal. He was also one of the members of the high-level working group constituted by Vidhi, which strongly critiqued the Forest Conservation Amendment Bill 2023. Mr. Debaditya Sinha is a senior resident fellow leading Vidhi's Climate and Ecosystem team. His research interest lies in the intersection of ecology, law, and policy. A recipient of the Sanctuary Wildlife Service Award 2019, Debaditya has over 12 years of experience working with legal and policy issues related to the environment and wildlife protection. He is also a member of IUCN Species Survival Commission and founder of Vindhyan Ecology and Natural Heritage History Foundation. Sorry. So today's discussion will be a 45-minute discussion, and it will be followed by an open floor for the questions and answer from the audience. The session, including the discussion and the questions from the audience, will be recorded. So I hope you enjoy the discussion. I also request everyone to kindly put your phones on silent.
And I must say that Mr. Bankhwal is one of the most knowledgeable, most honest, and most humble person I know. And we have worked for this working group when we were reviewing this forest conservation bill, and he was one of the member, and him being part of it made a tremendous difference. So, his whole understanding of the community, of the law, policy, and how law actually, works on the ground. So I think this is very important. And he has a large experience. Like, we cannot give an introduction of his thing, but he has worked in state, he has worked in Minister of Water Resource, he was director there at that time. He's a very good management, I think, scientist. So that we will discuss some other time. Sir, before we move to the topic, so I just want to understand from you, and we all know parts of it, that, why Northeast India is unique in terms of, first about the biodiversity and ecosystems from rest of India. So if you can just, you already said many things, but in terms of pure ecosystems and everything, so how do you think, experience, how Northeast is different?
We have around 16 forest classifications as per Champagne and State. Long back, they did in 1935, and that is still holds. Their classification is still being followed. And out of these 16 classifications, there are some edaphic and sterile where soil is important, or there is successional stage. For example, if you happen to go to Mizoram, then you will see that there are many bamboo areas. How come these bamboos have? There were the broadleaf forests, but when these forests were constantly burned through slash and burn, zoom cultivation, then these areas have become now bamboo bricks, because bamboo has colonized the area. So Northeast, you see, if you compare with other areas, there are two hot spots of biodiversity, as Norman Myers was British scientist and his team, and out of 34, around 36 these hot spots. Hot spots means there are endemic species, and out of these endemic species, there are 70% of these endemic species which have been lost. So this area had been a cradle of flowering plants. Lot many species there. And if you see this champion and set classification, then you will see that there are wet evergreen forest, there are semi-evergreen forests, there are moist deciduous forests, there are dry deciduous forests, and lot many variations within them. So the very range of forest types and the range of flora and fauna is really marvelous. Only thing is that gradually we are losing this natural capital. Maybe because of weak institutions that I told you. Because our governance structure is very outdated, and maybe the system in our system there is not much accountability. There is
I will come to this thing later on in the
okay.
So just,
But when it comes to flora and fauna, this area is really unique. There are many plant species which are endemic to this. As I told you, there are many orchid species, and there are many bamboo species. For example, there are around 80 plus bamboo species in the whole northeast. Whereas if you go to other parts, there are hardly 20-30 species. So that richness in bamboo, rattan means cane. There are around 14 species of cane there. And orchids, I told you, orchids are
animals there. You already said, like,
and animals, there are many animals which are unique to northeast. For example, if you go to Assam, then there is one species called pygmy hog and hispid deer, which are really highly threatened species. There are one-horned rhinoceros is mostly in Assam. They are in Jaldapada and now Dudhwa also. But that population is mostly from Dudhwa. Population is from northeast. We have Binturang. We have Malayan sun bear there. We have Hollock gibbons, and Hollock gibbon population is around 12,000 in that area. Around 12,000. We have golden langur. Golden langur is between just in a narrow geographical range between Sankos River and Manas River. Sankos is on Bengal border and Manas is in Assam. Very narrow range, and some of them are in Assam and some are in Bhutan. So around 5,000 plus in Assam and around 3,000 in Bhutan. So that is the population. This is the population that I have gathered from these primatologists who are working on primates. And swamp deer, we have swamp deer in Assam. Swamp deer population is a very good population, around 1,200. And there are some other species, for example, white-winged wood duck, and which are totally endemic species. There are many more species, many more bird species. You will find there 5 species of hornbills in northeast, which is rare in other parts. You won't find five species. And we have a Bengal florican also. Bengal florican you can see in Manas, you can see in Orang National Park, you can see between on the islands of Lohit River. Lohit is coming from Arunachal, and it is meeting Brahmaputra in Tinsukia area. So there are many species, both flora and fauna.
So yeah, actually, I remember some scientists also keep discovering new species. So there was one monkey, which is called Macaque munzala, in Arunachal, which was discovered, I think, hardly one decade ago. So in a deep forest, so a lot of areas unexplored. in northeast, and we're still getting new species. So, sir, now coming to the point, like most of northeastern states, all the states actually, so they have very strong ownership in the community about the forest. Okay. And you have spent a significant time, managing this forest in different communities and different states. So, and you have been IG of National Tiger Conservation Authority. So you have traveled most of the states, and you have actually, see how communities see forest and how they understand the forest. So, in your experience, how the local community in these areas understands and interacts with the forest and biodiversity. This is from a purely practical and your personal understanding.
So far as Assam, Mizoram, Meghalaya and Tripura are concerned, they are under 6th schedule of the constitution. In 6th schedule, they have special powers, particularly these decentralized units, district councils. They have a power to frame laws and to they have been given some subjects. For example, forestry is given to them. There are many subjects, forestry, education, there are many subjects given to them. But there are states like princely state Manipur and a state like Nagaland. They are in the 5th schedule, not in 6th schedule. And their powers of their district councils are less than the powers vested in the district council of 6th schedule. They have been given some powers, say, formulating plans, executing projects, like that, and preparing agenda for the next year budget, something like that. So far as management is concerned, these district councils, they sometimes, because they were not properly, the capacity building was not proper with them. So they had been dawdling, they had not been formulating and executing plans as would have been compatible with the conservation of the biodiversity. Because ultimately you should inculcate the concept of sustainable management, because resource, ultimately, if there are many free riders on this resource, then ultimately the resource will deplete it very soon. So there are problems. For example, we have in Assam 3 district councils: Karbi Anglong, Bodoland District Council, and Dima Hasao, North Kachar Hills District Councils. And what I have seen in both the 3 district, in almost all 3 district councils, that there have been rampant deforestation. Because these district council members, or whatsoever their compulsions, they were basically earning money from forest and allied resources, for example, stone quarrying or sand and gravel. So there had been over-exploitation of these resources. But there are some states, for example, they have really improved a bit. Tripura is a different kettle of fish. Tripura has better management in all respects. So nobody is complaining about Tripura, whether it is forest department or district councils. Tripura has also a tribal district council, and that is under 6th schedule. This Arunachal Pradesh, they have come out with one legislation way back around it is in 75, and they have brought out amendments in 84 also. So if there are some areas, because Arunachal density is very low. I had been to Dibang area where Idu Mismis are there, and when I went there, then Idu Mismis, there is one tiger reserve. Tigers are there up to that level also. And at that time when I went there, then their population density was 0.9 per square kilometer. You can say 1 per square kilometer. So people were they were sparsely populating the area. So there are many areas in between in Arunachal where the state government can reserve those areas. So they have brought out legislation in 1975 and with amendment in 1984 that is called Anchal and Forest Village. So when British went there, then there was they brought out own legislation. British and French, that system, Anglo-sanctioned sanctioned this jurisprudence. They brought out many legislations one after the another. And British were very fast. They are churning out one act after another. I don't know. They were very smart guys. Those who went early settlers and these early bureaucrats, mainly army people. So in Northeast, they brought out one act first, Assam Forest Regulation 1891. And that Assam Forest Regulation is being followed today also with amendments by Meghalaya, Assam. Actually, Assam was at that time, Mizoram was a kind of extension of with some chieftain. They had one officer there, assistant commissioner level of officer, who were managing Mizoram. And they created inner line reserve forests. If you, I don't know whether you had gone to Silchar or Karimganj, then if you go from Silchar, then their next door is Mizoram. There is Kolasib district, and through Kolasib district, if you go, then you can go to Imphal. I went with my researcher. I was working with in WCS, and I took young biologists. And I told them, let us not go by flight, we will go by road from Guwahati to Aizawl. And typically, the Mizoram, the landscape is, geology is different. The forests the mountains are not in east-west direction. They are in north-south direction. So these British used to call them Lusai Hills. And Mizoram people, they have also done good thing. Coming to Mizoram, I digress a little bit from there. Mizoram also have done very good thing, that roadside areas they have protected, steep slopes they have protected. They have come out with reserve forest. Unfortunately, the data has I have not printed that out. Otherwise, data is there in the laptop. There. I will show you the data. Anyway, sorry for that mismatch.
So, sir, I will just want to interrupt you here so a little bit. We are talking about this Schedule 5, Schedule 6 and Northeast division of power. So, actually, this thing is has been discussed quite a lot in terms of this recent amendments. When they say that most of the northern state, they are unclassed forest. For example, Nagaland has 97% unclassed, Meghalaya is 88%. I think Mizoram is an exception. Mizoram is, I think 15% is unclassed. You can correct. Yes, Mizoram is 15% unclassed. So basically, it's reserve forest. But why do you see that, except Mizoram, other states, they have a very huge number of forests which is actually unclassed, which are not protected by the state. So, is there any historical reason or any?
So,
I think this will be interesting to know why there's so much unclassed forest in these states. But if you see Punjab or other any state like Sikkim, Kerala, there's 0% unclassed forest. Delhi has 0, Kerala is 0%. So Andaman is 0% unclassed forest. But Northeast, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Manipur, Arunachal, Tripura, they have. I think.
The reason behind this unclassed forest to such an extent of around say 60%, 70% is that of when British went there in Assam, and Assam means for British Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram. Arunachal was NEFA, Northeast Frontier Agency. And Manipur and Tripura were princely states. So when British went there, then British went obviously with the sole purpose of taking timber out of those areas, and plain areas they gave some areas to tea gardens. And in fact, later on, under the pressure of tea gardens, because if you know East India Company, that was East India Company. 1826 was East India Company. 1850 after 1857, the whole area came under the Crown after the mutiny. Before that, it was East India Company. And do you know what was the East India Company? It is a monopoly company. So, you know the history. I will not go into that. So that was a monopoly company. So what they wanted to extract maximum timber. So in some areas, tea gardens were there. And in some areas, they found the chunk of forest where there is very good growth of trees. And the target was that 25% of Assam should be constituted as a reserve forest that should be out of bound for the public, solely for the East India Company. But there were many problems. As today, as I was telling, that there is always institutional problem. We don't pay a lot of heed to the institution. Everything is based on institution, where your institutions are working or not. And yes, let us all congratulate ourselves and the whole country. Yesterday was a Chandrayaan, moon landing on the moon. What that shows? That is an institution where everybody is working like a laser light, all aligned. Not everything in diffused way, ordinary light. That is the difference between laser light and ordinary light. So that is an institution. Institution means regularized practices. You have checks and balances. So the institution was very weak. So hardly when India became, at 1946, I have data, in 1946 their imagined target of 25%, instead of that they could do hardly 10% area. So cadastral survey couldn't be done. And there was, after some time, they found that there lot many chunks of forests are not there. There are some areas which are sparsely populated trees are there, and they wanted big chunks of forest. So that was the problem. And then, as I told you, in 1873 they brought this inner line permit, that these inner areas are out of bound for the public. They will have to take permit because there are warring tribes. And this in-group, out-group feeling is very strong. So these areas where no cadastral survey was done. So when India became independent, then Indian governments they were also that administration governance was teetering, and they very difficult.
So, sir, do you think there's also
many of these areas no cadastral survey has been done.
Okay.
In fact, North Karbang, the other day I asked the conservators there in Karbang Long and Haflong. Haflong means Dima Hazar District Council. I told him, you tell me how much area you have this under this USF, unclassified USF for. Sir, I can't tell you. Only thing is that you can derive from Forest Survey of India report that this is forest, this is tree cover, and out of these are reserve forests, these are proposed reserve forests, these are another kind of, these are protected area sanctuaries in national park, and the rest will be obviously USF.
Okay. So, sir, no, I have one confusion. Sorry, I'm just diverting from this thing. So, if I see Mizoram I think is 86% notified forest. And maybe Indian Forest Act, because it has settlement and all this thing. And do you think there is also a reason that local committee was so strong that it was political issue to declare notify a forest by the state and district council, because see, scheduled areas are there, they have right on the, it's very clearly written that forest which is not notified, they have right to make laws. Okay, district councils. Once notified, the state's laws will in operation. So, do you think there is some interaction of different separation of powers is there, and that is why this notified forests are less in northeastern states?
Notified forests are less because nobody dug his or her teeth into the problem. Because when India became independent, then these political forces who were they were doubling up. They were public representative here, but at the same time he's from some tribe. He's tribal chief also. So I think, and then there is a gigantic task because survey and consolidation is a big task.
No, so then again, so this is a follow-up question. So do you think that notifying a forest as reserve forest is good, or it is better that communities can themselves conserve the forest? Because we have seen in Northeast forests are still intact. Maybe because community has ownership of the forest. In other part of the state, we are seeing that, notified, but they are like, there is very poor monitoring, or capacity is not there, political will is not there. So what do you think? Like, nothing to be like, being political or having anything, but what do you think as an officer who has seen both the sides? Like, do you think that, especially in case of Northeast, because they are unclassed, they are not notified, so it is because of community, it is like, still there are forests left, or it is the other way around? What do you think?
I think it all depends upon upon sense of ownership. In government departments, what I have seen all through my career, everywhere, whether it is forest or any other department, that sense of ownership is not there. That is the biggest problem. This is my protected area, this is my sanctuary, this is my national park, this is my reserve forest. That sense of ownership is not there. This autonomic thinking is not there, that let us have future generations also have that bequeath something for them, good in good shape. We are not doing that. So your question is very good, because in some cases where governments have come up with sanctuaries and national parks, say for example Kaziranga or Manas or Dibru-Saikhowa, then those areas are protected because you are armed with Indian this Wildlife Protection Act, and if your institution is good, then that is protected. Somebody was jokingly telling me, one professor from NEHU, that you say protected areas, but I don't say protected areas, because there are many sanctuaries where there is no protection at all. There is free rein to poachers. I don't know whether there is anything left there or not. So there are many sanctuaries in India where there is no protection at all, and there is no accountability also. Then let me say it firmly here. So these many communities, and in Assam, most of the forest lands which were under the control of the forest department, they were almost 1/3 of that was finished during one insurgency or another insurgency, for example in Bodoland area. So had it been under community control, it wouldn't have been. So it is cutting both ways. In some cases there is protection, and in some cases forests under government control, they have gone.
Actually, sir, I got the answer. Basically, you are trying to say that one institutions, what is the how institutions functioning, good or bad. Second, ownership. It can be from the government, from the community, whatever is working. And we have seen in this when this forest bill was introduced, we have seen like in Joint Parliament Committee, most of northeastern states opposed it. And Sikkim, Tripura, Mizoram, Manipur, even Assam also said that this will be affecting. But other states in the rest of India, they have hardly opposed the bill. So maybe there is a sense of, and they are from the same ruling government parties of the state. Even last week, Mizoram State Assembly passed a resolution against the Amendment Act. In fact, it is a rule by the same government which brought this act. So this kind of interesting things we are seeing, and that's why Northeast is very unique in that sense. And Ranjit was telling me that there's a Northeastern students union, they were protesting against this palm oil plantation, because palm oil now, after this policy, central government of this national palm oil policy. So Andaman and the Northeast, they are seen as a hub of palm oil, because we want to reduce our import. So now coming to this point, one thing is government should be the trustee of the forest. They are not the owner, which we always think that the government is owner. They are the manager, controller, and the public trust. So you have to put the forest in public trust. Now we are seeing the government intention. I'm not going to good or bad or right or wrong. So even every country has aspirations, okay, and how we see the development is that you build roads. You ask anyone in Delhi, people will be happy to have more roads, and they're required. I'm not even denying that. But I want to understand that how the, you know, the bureaucrats who are sitting in Delhi or maybe ministries or any other, like, mainstream media or the think tanks, how they see development and how people of Northeast wants development. Do you think there is any differences like in the perception? Because in terms of, we have seen protests for hydropowers in Northeast, very violent protests. We have seen like how different tribal groups are these things saying they have passed a resolution against the forest tax. So there's a clearly different kind of perception. So and one major reason of forest fragmentation is because of this development activities, roads or dams or palm oil plantation, whatever. So what do you think, like difference in the...
Coming to palm oil, I used to go to Dampa Tiger Reserve in Mizoram, and I saw these palm oil plantations here and there. And if you go to Indonesia, I had been there once in a project to 8 areas. Such a beautiful evergreen, wet evergreen forest, totally destroyed. These fellows, these politicians, they destroyed the whole Southeast Asia doing palm oil cultivation. I don't know what is the definition of development, because, and this is debatable. Anybody who read a lot, you will see that this development is a highly debatable subject. We don't know what is development. Because when GDP is growing, we see that once one person's GDP is growing by 50%, 60, 70%, another person's is growing by 1%. And if you really deflate, then his GDP is not growing. And let me digress a little bit from here. If you happen to have watched the Occupy Wall Street protest, then you would have seen they say that we are 99%er, we are not 1%er. And you see some are billionaire in lifetime, 20, 50 years, they are billionaires. You see all over the world. We don't know what is development. So there should have been maximum good of maximum people. That should be development. We don't know, because in the world everything is relative. Everything is relative. What is your paradigm? You define everything. It is all paradigm, how you see the things. So development is very debatable thing. But there was World Conservation Strategy in 1980. And there earlier, after that, there was Brundtland Commission report, and there are so many narratives, there were so many reports which talked about the sustainable development. Sustainability itself is not yet properly defined. And everything is in a flux with the passage of time. But when it comes to the majority of people, development should be at least sustainable source of income and livelihood. And if all of a sudden something disruptive comes in, disruptive means you open area, you do mining, coal mining, you do in Margareta, Assam, or you do mining in Chhattisgarh or any other area for that matter, just for the sake of discussion I am telling, then the person who were living by natural resources, say on bamboo, they were eating bamboo shoots, they were making achar of bamboo. So these fellows are left high and dry. All of a sudden they are clueless how to lift their life, how to mobilize resources for livelihood. Coming to your second question, that okay, development, we say that that development and nature conservation, there should be some kind of compromise, trade-off. Some people say that compatibility is something which cannot be there. When we talk of landscape management, obviously landscape, when you are doing some kind of when you are making some kind of linear structure, for example railroad or highway, then obviously you are fragmenting the habitat and you are splitting the habitat. But at the same time there are so many projects, so there are fragmenting, shredding everywhere. The question is that you can mitigate problem. You cannot say that both are compatible. There is always incompatibility. You can mitigate. So in 2018, under pressure from various sources, Wildlife Institute of India came out with one document that in all wildlife areas, these mitigating structure must be there. So suppose you have come out with one highway, 4-lane highway. How will these animals cross this 4-lane highway? So you should have some structure, either underpass or overpass, through which these animals can go. But they with the limitations that free passage, because the animal needs, for example, open. It should not feel that it is constrained in some area, so it will not go. But mitigating structures should be there, and unfortunately we have come very late. By this time we have come to 2018. By that time we have done a lot of damage to our wildlife habitats. But again, now die has been cast. If some legislation has been done anywhere, whether from center or state government or anywhere in UT, only thing is that we can do some mitigation, and that should be scrupulously followed. That should be internalized in the detailed project report, DPRs. That they come out with DPRs. In DPRs, this should be internalized, and it should be mandatory that they should abide by the conservation ethos.
So, sir, linked to this, I want to, you may ignore this question if you want. I just want to ask you personally, like, and this may be many incidents you have faced being a PCCF. So, is there any incident where the government, irrespective of state or center, they wanted to develop something in near to border or some other area in a wildlife habitat somewhere? Then, what is the defense forest officer takes? As a forest department, you are the custodian of the forest. And forest force is very old. I think so. Any incident you want to share, or maybe you can ignore this, but how you defend? I want to understand, because.
No, I will see. Definitely, I will share. There was one hydro dam coming on Lohit River. I think it was in 2016-17. In Dibang Valley, Lohit River and Subansiri, there are many dams, and still there are some dams which are proposed. So I was in one committee in which Mr. Dr. Gopi from Wildlife Institute of India and one of my junior from Gujarat. We were 3 members. And the mandate given to us, the task given to us was to find out how this proposed hydroelectric project will affect the wildlife. And ultimately, because this water, when you are damming Lohit River, then this Lohit River actually finally drains out into this area, Dibru Sakwa area, Brahmaputra. In Brahmaputra there are main is Siang River, then they have Subansiri, then Navoding, and this Lohit River. These 4 or 5 rivers are major rivers. Siang brings the maximum volume of water from around China. And when this was there, then there were many hue and cry. There were many NGOs who were after us that they will do this, they will do that, they will just bend over backward to appease central government. I told them that so far as I am concerned, I am least bothered about central government or for that matter any other government. I will just throw my weight behind the real issues of wildlife. And I told my junior officer who were from Gujarat Cater, Kamboj, I told him, we will retire. We should not leave behind any imprint which will suggest that we compromise our position against the wildlife conservation. And we wrote a report that this dam should not be there. We wrote a report that this dam should not be there because when you make a dam, then what happens? There are diurnal changes in the water discharge. what these dams do? They fill up the reservoir during the day hours. And during peak hours, when there is a lot of demand of electricity, say from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., they will then discharge this water. These turbines will work. Then during the time when the damming is there, when the water is being contained inside the dam, then the discharge was almost coming to, I think, 60 cubic meter per second. And during peak time, it was going to 340. We told this is something which is, these animals have not learnt. They can't change, which they learnt in millions of years, they can't learn in few months. पानी अचानक कम हो गया, पानी बढ़ गया तो वो कैसे सर्वाइव करेगा? They will die. And there are dolphins. Dolphins need at least 20 feet of water. If water is less, they will just leave the place. So there are dolphins in Dibru-Saikwa. So we wrote, and then there are some areas where this water, where the buffalo area, grasslands, they will be totally submerged. Because when there is at peak time, when this lot of water will flow there, this water will not recede. It will remain there. So we wrote against the government proposal.
So sir, one last question before I open it for audience question and answer. So this is again a personal, from your experience. You have spent, I think, 4 decades, more than 4 decades maybe.
No. Nearly 3 decades. But half the time I was in government of India, I was in FRI also, Forest Research Institute also.
So in different places you have spent between 3 to 4 decades of time, and I think since 1980s till now, and I think a lot of things have changed. So even the government's approach, the aspiration of the country, even how bureaucracy functions, the laws have also evolved in a way. So what changes?
I wanted to show one file which I just forgot about the species.
So in the meantime, he will open the file so he can answer the question.
आप खोल दीजिए जरा.
खोल दीजिए उसको. So what do you think is the first is the change at the macro and micro level, how
file is count and estimation something, है ना?
ठीक है.
Word file.
So basically, let him on, switch it on.
Okay, no problem.
We'll take questions and
yeah, you are free to ask any question.
So first my question, what I'm asking.
First, please, go ahead.
So in last 3-4 decades, what kind of changes have you seen first in the aspiration of people and policies of government? And lastly, I want to know from you how the forest officers are now, working. Has it affected the working forest officer, from that time of cadre, and from now the new forest officer? So have you seen any change in the way they address problems or their perception to solve those kind of challenges? Because this I wanted to know from me personally.
Very difficult question. This is all subjective and depends upon individual.
Tell us your
No. I will tell you. As an institution, I have seen that forest departments of Northeast are not growing. Let me tell you this very, very frankly, because ultimately, I will tell you one small thing, and why it is not doing. Why it is not doing? If you go to Assam, and if a rhino is killed in Kaziranga, everybody is on his tiptoes. All forest people working there. The person in whose area this happened is held accountable. And the senior officers have to answer the queries of the public that why it is happening. Because then there are some channels, TV channels, which are very vociferous. There are newspapers which are very vociferous. They also go with the public. Everybody goes with the public. So basically, the thing is that if your citizenry, your electorate is not well educated, not sensitized, then politicians are also not sensitized. Politicians just respond to the pulse of the public. and bureaucrats just respond to the pulse of the politicians. That happens. That happens. And there are many in bureaucracy, let me again tell this very frankly, they bend over backward to appease politicians. That is the bane of this country. I don't know what is happening in the other countries. So, bureaucracy is also badly fractured. There are few people who want rule of law. They want to go by text. But there are some people who invest themselves and engage themselves with the politicians who are not well-meaning. There are very good politicians also. There are very good politicians. I have seen very good politicians, but unfortunately, like good bureaucrats, they are also sidelined. They are also not mustering much support in their fraternity. That is the problem. So when you are talking yesterday or tomorrow, not much change. Not much change. Because basically, the DNA, the culture of any organization is very important. Very, very important. I read long back one book, Reinventing Government. Reinventing Government by David Osborne and Ted Gabler. Reinventing Government was during Bill Clinton's time. And these two gentlemen, Osborne and Gabler, they have written very well. And this gentleman, David Osborne, has come up with another book, Banishing Bureaucracy. B-A-N-I-S-H. Banishing Bureaucracy. And I have read both books. And they have said, because bureaucracy is everywhere a kind of pejorative word, not liked. Bureaucracy has got negative connotation. Bureaucracy means आप काम नहीं होने देगा, आप बोलेगा पहले ये कागज लाओ, पहले वो लेके आओ, पहले ये करो, आप काम नहीं करने दोगे. That's why the Western countries, they have changed bureaucracy. They have brought new public management. Somehow we are still clinging on to the old rattle trap kind of, ramshackle kind of structure bureaucracy. I don't know why we are not changing. I really feel bad. We should change. We should bring domain experts. And that is the reason. What you are saying, what was happening yesterday, what was happening today, because you have not changed the culture, you have not changed the DNA, and you have not changed the institution. The way of functioning, if you happen to go to Arunachal, I don't know, left, right trees are being cut. बोला साहब ये कैसे कट दिया भाई? वो चकमा काट रहा साहब. Why so many chakmas are coming there? And I went to Dibang and I saw one ACF who was in charge. And when I went to his range office, and nobody was there. And I asked him, why? And this ACF putting his hands in his pocket and strutting in front of me and was, sir, let us go, sir, into our range office. And when I went there in range office, nobody was there. Then when he left, then I asked the other people there. There were some teachers. भाई यहाँ कोई रहता भी नहीं. बोला सर 6 महीने से कोई नहीं है. Nobody is there for 6 months. So that is the kind of problem. And as I told you, that there are many protected areas, many sanctuaries, no protection. No protection. And every 2-3 years, we do the management effectiveness evaluation. Once I asked my senior officer, sir, we have done so many management effectiveness evaluations. Let us first see on how many points there has been this action taken report. What kind of remedial action they have taken. Why are we writing good, very good, bad, average? We should really grind their nose on the ground. But you are not doing this job. And there are some problems. There are problems of funding. In Northeast, they are not getting funds. That is the problem. And most of the money is going on containing insurgency. Insurgency is everywhere. Every drop of hat, some people will band together, some people, and they will say that Democratic Alliance or Republican Alliance, or but basically they are just that kind of collecting money kind of thing. As an industry, they had been doing this all over Northeast. I don't know what was the problem with them. For example, close to Kaziranga, there were some communities. There is every community. I went to last time to Haflong. There I found that the chief of the Haflong Council was ex-militant chief. Bodoland, ex-militant chief. All militant chiefs are bosses. They are ministers. So problem is this institutional problem, cultural problem, this DNA problem. So nothing will change unless we really address the root cause of the problems.
Got it. So maybe you can take audience question. You have time, so we can extend the discussion if there are more questions, right?
वो एक होगा count and क्या है कुछ something estimate?
Count estimation.
हाँ, उसको बोल दीजिए. Oh, I forgot to print out this. So you can see this. Just scroll this. हाँ, नहीं scroll कर लीजिए इसको देखिए. हाँ. No. Wait. Yeah, you just for your consumption that these are number of swamp deer. This Manas. This there are swamp deers in Kaziranga and Manas. Brow antler deer is Manipuri deer. A Manipuri deer, this is only in Kebul Lamjao National Park. In Manipur, Okha. WH का I don't know क्या लिखा मैंने.
ओखा लिखा मैंने. OKH है.
No. W. I missed W. Sorry. I don't know. I'm
Travels to Okha district. I doubt there's a single elephant there right now.
Oh no. They are saying yes. They are stuck up there. I asked them. This is just word of mouth. There are some elephants which are stuck between Okha. Okha is in. I have gone to Okha, to Ensangda. I have gone to many areas of Nagaland during this NGO training time. And these, because on Sibsagar side of India, the corridors are blocked. This I just highlighted that the corridors are very important. These transmigration routes, they have been blocked because of human developments. And development means this development haphazard development, no organized development. So these are stuck up there. It should be W, not Okha. That Okha is in Gujarat. And brow antler deer, Thamin deer in the Kebul Lamjao. So they are there. Golden langur, yes, they are just in Bhutan and Arunachal, very narrow geographical limit. Sankos River and between Sankos River and Manas River. Pygmy hog is one species which is endemic to northeast, and pygmy hog have been they were in Manas. In rest of the areas they were not there. From Manas, then they picked what I call founder population, a small population. They captive bred them and then now reintroduced into wild. And this is the from the project director. I found this figure. He was telling me that sir, 130 to 150 are in Orang and 80 to 100 are in Manas National Park. Dolphins, very important animals. So earlier, this gentleman Wakid, I know Wakid is doing for the last many years, but then latest WI is making estimation, and that they have given this figure WI 17-18 survey. Then human wildlife conflict in Assam. This is mostly with elephants, and there are many deaths of human beings, many deaths of elephants. Elephant figure, I am just suspecting. Sorry, elephant figure, because there are many times when electrocution is there. People out of revenge they electrocute. They put some hook there and then they kill the elephant through electrocution. And maybe some of these guys, forest officers, DFOs, they would have passed them off as natural deaths. But I think they are much more than them.
And also Assam and Arunachal is also hub of illegal capture of elephants for
Yeah.
Data is there, government data is there.
Where there is a resource, you tell me on which resource there is not illegal
No,
exploitation.
but
You
for
tell-
elephant is the center of all the export to different states.
elephants, there was one gentleman called P.D. Stressy, forest officer after he was Anglo-Indian, and when British left, then he was forest officer there. P.D. Stressy has written a book, Elephant Gold. Read that book, very good. Elephant is just like gold, as you say now, green gold or what gold, इसको petroleum gold को क्या बोलते हैं petroleum, some gold they say. So he has written elephant gold, and I forgot to tell you, the elephants were captured by Ahoms. Went there in 1228, and they left in 1826 when this Yandabo Treaty came into existence and British occupied the area. Then they had they had developed methods of capturing elephants. One was called Mela Sikara and another was called Kheda Sikar. I'm forgetting the name. Mela means, Mela in Assam means, or maybe in Bengali also, I don't know, maybe some of you are Bengali student here, or Bengali law officers here. Mela means open. असम में बोलते हैं अगर आपने गाय छोड़ने गोरो मेली दिया, मेल मीन्स ओपन कर दो उसको. मे बी मेला इज ऑल्सो फ्रॉम दियर आवर मेला है नी. तो मेला शिकार मीन्स ओपन, एंड खेदा मीन्स खेद. बंगाली में बोलते हैं खेद दो, खेद दिया. असम में बोलते हैं खेद दिया, खेद मीन्स उसको भगा दो. तो मेला शिकार में क्या करते थे कि जो है ओपन में यू टेक वन फीमेल एलिफेंट कुंकी, that they are called kunki, and the people used to go experts with some rope with noose, and they will capture one elephant, a small elephant of 3 to 7 feet size, and they used to capture and then bring that and then train that. That was called mela sikar. Kheda sikar, what they used to do, they used to say all wild animals love salt. If you go to any national park or sanctuary, these forest people do. So हम उनको बोलते हैं भाई don't do this, because they let them look for natural salt licks. So what they used to do, they put salt, and then these elephants used to gather there. Then they will drive from that point. That is called Pong in northeast. That's why you have Bhaluk Pong. You have the name of the place Bhaluk Pong. Pong means salt lick for bhalu जहाँ salt के लिए आ रहा है, that is called bhaluk pong. So these pong areas, these salt lick areas, they used to target these elephants. Then they used to drive them into some kind of structure with some palisades, they say palisade है, और इसके अंदर उसको ले जा करके, and from them they gradually used to drive out the unwanted one and keep the wanted one. So that used to be called kheda sikar. So these two were the methods through which and then they used to train these elephants. After 3-4 months they were trained, or maybe within 5-6 months, and then they used to sell these elephants. They were fetching a lot of money. That's why it was called elephant gold. Anyways, now there are these 5 types of species. This great hornbill, wreath hornbill, rufous necked, and these are 5 species there. Next चलिए बंगाल फ्लोरिकन है वहाँ पर.
Yeah, this all you already mentioned.
Then go ahead.
White-winged wood duck last.
White-winged wood duck is in Assam. That is the state bird of Assam.
Yeah, this is done.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is final. So that is the diversity there.
We can take questions if anyone has.
You can ask any question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Tell your name and then.
Yeah. Okay. So it was just related to what you said. My name is Tara, by the way, and you said कि वो I guess in Arunachal they cut the forest and they say chakma kuch to. So what does that mean?
I will tell you. There is one a tiger reserve called Namdafa. Namdafa is not far off from Digboi. If you go from Digboi, then there is after 2.5 hours drive you reach Namdafa, and from Namdafa is here, and on the south is Kamlang Tiger Reserve. So I used to go from here to here. So I saw that lot of this tree clearance was going on. One truck and truck were loading this. Then I told, out of curiosity, I asked, whose timber it is and who has allowed you to harvest this timber? So he was from some plain area. Then I asked forest officer, bola sir, there are Chakma tribes. Chakma tribes are basically from Bangladesh, and they are there in Mizoram also.
Mizoram, Tripura and Arunachal. Tripura, Mizoram, Arunachal.
Tripura, Mizoram, Arunachal. Sir, you know much more about the area. You are from Bengal or?
I'm from Bankhwal, but
But you know, sir. So these Chakma tribes are there, and when maybe these people are, because this is still something that as these Ahoms came and these Ahom find such a beautiful place and they brought so many Ahoms from Myanmar. So this is similar kind of situation. Maybe they are bringing out many people. As Bangladeshi brought many Bangladeshis into Assam. So that governance structure is really very below par there in Arunachal. I saw that many forests are being cleared.
Hello, sir. I am Radhna. So first of all, thank you so much for sharing the knowledge about the rich diversity and flora and fauna of Northeast. But my question pertains particularly to Project Tiger. So I was going through the NTCA reports, annual reports, and there was an interesting trend that I came across, and I wanted to understand your perspective. Two trends, in fact. So the first trend being is that I noticed that there was a significant budget cut between 2019 to 2020. So in 2019 to 2020, there was the budget that was dispersed for Project Tiger was around 284 crores. Whereas in 2019 to 2020 to 2021, it was there was a significant cut, and it was somewhere around 194 crores. And I think the biggest losers were one, Maharashtra, where the budget cut was almost half, and the other one state was Assam. So I wanted to get your understanding. I mean, were there any significant reasons for that? Because from my limited knowledge, I know that Maharashtra also has a lot of tiger hotspots, tiger reserves, dedicated tiger reserves, and similarly Assam has such rich diversity of flora and fauna. So if you could shed light on that. And the other interesting trend that I noticed was that prior to somewhere between 2015 to 2016, the budget allocated and the expenditure notified was almost equal. But as the years progressed, the budget that was allocated and the expenditure that each state was, sharing, there was a lot of underspending. So, and it continued. I mean, it's happening for the last 3, 4, or maybe 5 years. So, again, is there any particular reason for that? What do you think are the challenges that maybe the administration is also facing on ground? So, these two particular questions I wanted to ask. Thank you.
First question, that there is slashing of budget. After this Sariska debacle, when Sariska population was 0, then this NTCA came into existence. You know the background. Now, tiger population has been built up, and there are some areas, some tiger reserves where there is no ecosystem or enabling environment to populate their tiger reserve with tigers, because in some area, for example, Satkosia, they tried but they failed. Again, I tell you that for any project to succeed, there should be lot many elements that should gel together. That is called ecosystem. Suppose in India today you say that all of a sudden you want to entrepreneurship. No, it will not happen. Suppose India you want to say that you want to finish corruption. It will not happen. You need an ecosystem. Same thing with wildlife management. And in wildlife management there is one thing. And in all managements, there is always a sigmoid curve. And if population is low, if you just mentally imagine sigmoid curve, if population is low, there is one cusp, there is a point, there is one inflection point, after which only population moves ahead, otherwise it remains in a trap. And this happens with poverty trap also. Poverty is also follows this curve. If you are in this below this cusp, you always remain poor. Same thing with population. The population doesn't build up. So first of all, enabling environment should be there. So budget cut is there because obviously government shifts priorities. And priorities are never static. So I think they have given enough money to the Project Tiger. Project Tiger should develop their own ways. State government should do some kind of bootstrapping. They should mobilize their own resources. Why state governments are not improving? That is the problem with the state governments. Coming to Maharashtra state government doesn't want NTCA money. There are many state governments which are saying that we don't want your money. You are not releasing money timely, and out of frustration or out of the kind of indignation, they say that we don't want your money. In fact, they have enough money. Maharashtra is flush with money. Maharashtra doesn't need money. MP doesn't need money. There are northeastern states which are really always cash strapped. They are always languishing in poverty. And then they have multiple problems, these ethnic problems, law and order problems, porous border, multiple problems. They are in fact, I don't know. They have million mutinies happening same time there. So that is one part. Northeast requires, but then I think they have built up enough population, and they should. It is not that every time you need money. There are many things. I will tell you frankly. In many activities in forest, you don't need money. As a forest officer, I can say. For example, for patrolling, you don't need money. I used to tell them, "Bhai, आपको हर जगह पैसे की क्यों जरूरत है भाई? And why are you whining and grieving? You don't need money. You just do patrolling, you do surveillance. What is the problem?" So there are some areas where, for example, I was just a little while ago, I was talking about poor management of many sanctuaries. Why we need money? Why can't we do patrolling? And I used to do that. I went to Dampa and I used to go 12 kilometers, 15, and the director used to tell me, "Sir, let us go to Aizawl. Let us talk to Chief Wildlife Warden." Your job is forest officer, bhai. If you can't move around 12 kilometers, 15 kilometers, what kind of forest officers you are? So that is the problem. So this is in media. There are people, some who just work like sounding board. They repeat same thing. They don't come up with something new. So that is one problem. So budget, I think that is central government. They have their own priorities. They will shift priorities. They will go to entrepreneurship. Why should they? They will give money to schools. Second part, you said that money was there, but then it appears as if there is under expenditure. Second part. That happened because they were switching over to new system, online system. An online system, government of India itself was faltering. It seems they were not able to put their act together. And then the state government, obviously, if I have to do online something, if you go to Pake Tiger Reserve, then I asked one day, I was in Pake, and there was a director. I asked him, "Sir, I am going to Tezpur." "Why are you going to Tezpur?" "Sir, online system, there is no internet here. They will have to go to Tezpur."
So when you say online system, you mean reporting and monitoring was shifting?
No. This budgetary thing, treasury system. They have treasury online treasury system. That's why I say that this ecosystem they should develop, and they say they make all the elephants pregnant together. They should concurrently do so many things together. If you are doing sequentially, then obviously there is delay.
Yes, definitely. And so there's a next question from ma'am, please.
So you are satisfied?
Yes,
That is because switching over to the new system.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. My name's Katrina, and strangely enough, I actually work in the Northeast. I work at an educational establishment in Kohima for 4 months of the year. The rest of the time I work from Delhi.
4 years.
4 months. 4 months of the year I'm in, 4 or 5 months in the year I'm in Kohima. I'm just wondering, and I came in late, so maybe you set the parameters at the beginning of the meeting, but we haven't mentioned the Forest Conservation Amendment Act and its implications for forest and conservation in the Northeast. And the groups that I'm talking to in the Northeast are deeply concerned about the two big threats. As they perceive it, the Forest Conservation Amendment Act is going to be a big threat to forests in the region. And on the other hand, you've got palm oil. So you've got a kind of pincer movement, and that is of deep concern for your corridors that you mentioned, and much else. So, I wonder what your comments, unless it was a decision not to discuss that at this meeting.
Actually, before that, I want to comment here that we have published one very good critique of the First Constitution Amendment Act. He was part of that. This report is available online. It's called Report of High Level Working Group, and it's a very strong critique used by most of the people. So we have submitted to Joint Parliamentary Committee. He was part of that. 18-member committee we have formed, and we have submitted a very strong submission against the amendments. So rest he can tell about the impact about Northeast.
Okay, madam. Welcome, madam. Very good. Very good to learn about you, that you are involved in education, because education and health are the two areas which can really lift a country and sustain a country. And particularly when we have such a young population, this young country. So that is an area which is really needs a lot of assistance from persons like you. Your question regarding this pincer movement of palm oil cultivation and this new amendment. Now everything depends upon, again, just I am repeating that your paradigm. They say that I don't remember the name of the authors. There is a book, Natural Capitalism, long back of 1919 or 2000 something. Natural Capitalism, very good book. Many, if you need, I will give you. Natural Capitalism. And Natural Capitalism, the authors, I think there are 4 or 5 authors, very good book written, that how our natural capital has not been internalized into the whole accounting system of the world, and that's why the whole world is facing this crisis, because of few economists of 17th, 18th century. I don't know why sometimes wisdom just evaporating in the world. I don't know. And sometimes in nation and sometimes in departments. We don't have wisdom, so we have everything, but sometimes we are just nonplussed to put our act together. That is the problem. I don't know, there is some problem with the people. Somebody needs push. Otherwise, we have everything, but every day we are buffeted with so many problems, we are battered with so many problems. So, coming to this law is basically now Government of India is also then talking about this book. They say that there are 4 kinds of people in the world. One are green, who always see green. They will oppose everything which is not green. There are blue. Blue means shareholder, dividends, corporate. These people will always say कि भैया हर चीज को business करो, business. And there are, sorry, I have switched over to Hindi. So there are people who will do everything they will see the whole world with the perspective of this. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and blah 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 blah, so many people. These guys will try to find out money in everything, even in air or ocean, water or everything. They will find money. How to get the money? These are blue people. Then there are red. Dictatorship of the proletariat, communist, extreme communist, and there are white. We will blend of this. Chalo bhai, let us have something here, something there, something there. So these are 4 kinds of people. So that's why there are problems in the world, because we all have cognitive filters. You see the world differently, I see the world differently, because of these cognitive filters. And because of this, our confirmation bias, what I know, I will receive only that. I will not receive others. That confirmation bias. There are so many biases, cognitive biases we have. So the problem is here, that the government have their commitment. They came on one pole plank that they have to lift this country out of poverty. This country is still languishing in poverty. If they say that we are really in the league of big nations or smart nations, no, we are not. Our people are still half-fed. So the country, the prime minister or politicians, they have commitment. So that is one reason. Only thing is that we have very small land mass. We have 1/3 of China, 1/3 of America, but we have huge population. The original sin that we committed was to allow grow this population unhindered, unchecked. And they treated this population issue as something holy cow. You should not talk this. That is the biggest problem. Now we are stewing in our own juice. That is the problem. Sorry, I may be. You might be thinking that I am digressing, but then there is serious problem. So somehow you can do only trade-off. We can't stop politicians or the national leaders to make this country grow, because we are carrying heavy baggage of poverty and population. This heavy legacy, heavy baggage. I don't know when we will shed to that baggage. So that is the problem. So only thing is that now we should do mitigating measures, and we should protect whatsoever protected areas we have. Whatsoever protected areas. Forest will gradually vanish. I worked in Assam for nearly 33 years, and believe me or not, what kind of the state was in shambles. Whole northeast was in shambles. Totally disorganized. Nobody is accountable. Not even a single man goes to jail in India if they finish our natural resource. Not even a single man goes to jail. That is the beauty of the country. So large-hearted. These people don't go to jail. Half of the forest in Assam was finished during my career time. Half of the forest gone. I have seen in Assam areas which were just, you can't see beyond 10 meter. Open forest, not a single tree is there. Not a single tree. Bodo agitation was there, and they finished whole northern bank of Brahmaputra. And in thousands they swarmed over the area, and the governments were mute spectator. Mute spectator. And let me share with you, one gentleman, a senior officer of bureaucracy, topmost boss you can say, he was chairman of one commission, and I was conservator in, there is an area, Kokrajhar, Western Assam Circle, Bodo area. And he was complaining that forest people did not do anything when forest. Then I asked him, what was your DC doing, sir? What was your DC doing? This forest officer, they just have lathi, just have one stick. You have everything, you had everything, why you didn't do? And then he kept quiet. What were they doing? And everybody faced in troubled water, even army. Everybody faced in troubled water. So that is the problem. So the issue is that you can't help it. But palm oil is definitely something which you can avoid. Development you can't avoid. Palm oil is something which you should find some alternative which is not harmful to the environment. And we should tooth and nail we should oppose palm oil cultivation. Why should we do that? Indonesia is gone. It is Indonesia, Malaysia. These people. Indonesia was, I think, one of the worst case scenario. Sir.
Thank you. My name is Ronajit. My question was actually going to be primarily that the Forest Rights Act and in Northeast, and you've obviously explained to us. I just wanted to, you said that at one point the forest will disappear because of the, there is no check right now. But as far as I know, institutionally, there has been checks. So I wanted to point out one particular check that has been there since the UPA term, which is the environmental impact assessment, which I'm not sure whether that is the direct reason why the hydro project which you talked about, where you were asked to write the report on the other side, and you give a negative report. So I don't know whether it is an EIA report that you were asked to submit, but essentially the whole aspect of balancing development with nature conservation, the fulcrum or the mechanism that was used, that was created, was basically the environmental impact assessment. And I do know, obviously, that it has been extremely diluted over the years. But does it exist at all anymore in the new Forest Rights Acts, or is there any movement or any ways and means of bringing that about, or replacing that with another mechanism? Because essentially the balance of, if you leave it to the population of the people, yes, like you said, migrant populations will come into forests and they will remove forests. Or an industry will say that there is coal here and when I want to take out this mine. So mechanisms need to be involved. Is there any mechanism today, or is there any possibility of a mechanism?
Again, sir, Forest Right Act is again a different kettle of fish. Forest Right Act doesn't have much impact in Northeast, because Forest Right Act is basically, it is stemming from this concept of historical injustice. That in some areas you made reserve forests and you made sanctuaries and national parks, and their rights as per the law, they were not settled. In Northeast, you see there are such a large community areas. So Northeast doesn't have that kind of problem as in other parts of the country. So far as what I was telling, that was just one aspect regarding wildlife. Environmental impact assessments are there, but I think rigors of science are not being followed, as there are some complaints. I should not say something about the department I was serving in, but some people say that rigors of science are not being followed. Actually there should be good criteria and indicators that what kind of scenario will develop and how the wild animals or flora and fauna which have evolved, which took so many years to evolve, say even million years or thousands of years, how they will survive in the totally changed environment. So I think some people allege that rigors are not there, but in this Forest Right Act doesn't have much problem there, because people have lot of land at their disposal.
Yeah, next question.
Good evening, sir. My name is Zaivani Krishna. I have a rather general question. It's not particularly pertaining to forest or wildlife conservation. So with the given argument about mainstreaming biodiversity governance for the betterment of biodiversity or wildlife conservation, ecosystem services, and the landscape, sir, what is the current state of biodiversity governance for, say, climate conservation, especially in the urban areas, urban climate, and particularly leaning towards thermal environment, if there is any as of yet, especially since the last 3 to 4 decades, given the rapid urbanization and the subsequent loss of biodiversity? Are there any political instruments or legal instruments or any policies made in that, or amendments in the currently existing policies? And also, if we were to, what would be the success if we were to integrate or make biodiversity policy go hand in hand with urban heat island policy or, say, urban climate policies?
Urban heat island, yeah, that is the concept, because these urban areas are heat islands. That is true, because this is concrete. Your natural vegetation has yielded place to concrete. That is the problem. Only thing is that so far as biodiversity is concerned, they have Biodiversity Act, and then under that they have rule. Again, any law or rule, it is as good as their implementation. If you, there are so many acts in India, but devil lies where? In implementation. There is the problem. What is the point in having a law which is not being implemented? For example, in Arunachal we have Wildlife Protection Act, but there is rampant poaching. And in fact, I wrote one report, because I will not flinch from sharing that. I went to Anini, this Dibang Valley, the tiger reserve. There was not still tiger reserve, but tigers are there. And casually I talked to lower level, because they are the source of information, lower level people. I asked the चौकीदार of circuit house, कुछ मीट वीट बिकता है, नहीं बिकता इधर? बोला सर ऑफिसर लोग जो है 7,000 रुपये में हिरन खरीदते हैं यहाँ पर, वो मैं पकाता हूँ. I wrote that in the report. I wrote that in the report of central government, that the officers of Arunachal Pradesh, they eat deer meat collectively, and this is the ground report. And there are many reports. So, and when you talk of Wildlife Protection Act, after retirement, I was conducting trainings, and I was also giving some lectures on Wildlife Protection Act and countering wildlife trafficking. And I saw that there was abysmal ignorance of Wildlife Protection Act, which is of 1972, 50 years back. No understanding. They can't differentiate between sanctuary and national park. So because, why? They can understand. When they understand so many things, because there is no interest. So law is as good as it is implemented. There are so many laws in India, but they are not being implemented. Lot many, whether not only forests, everywhere you see. No? So there lies the problem. So coming to your this urban areas, I think only thing is that some people should really take the lead. That urban biodiversity, for example, if you go to Kerala, then they have some urban parks and butterfly parks, and if you protect area, then butterflies gradually come, small birds come. So it needs a movement. But as an institution, I think there are many areas where forest officers will not do. For example, if you see, I just show you dolphin number. Our forest officers, they don't do anything for protection of dolphins. They say this is our mandate. Our mandate is this much. So that is a problem. So civil society groups should come up for protection of biodiversity. In whatsoever, and then we have this under this Biodiversity Act, this biodiversity management register, BMC biodiversity management committees are there, and then biodiversity registers are there. Everything should be documented in those registers. I think that should be the first starting point, and some people should really come up with the idea of protecting urban biodiversity.
Yeah, first you, then you, and then we wrap up. Yeah.
Okay. My name is Anubhav Anand. Anubhav, in your opinion, which is that one species in the Northeast that needs immediate attention but is not getting enough of it? Like you just gave the example of the rhino, the one on rhino, that if they're killed, if any one of them is killed in Assam, everyone is on their tiptoes. But which is that one species in Assam which is not getting enough attention? Not in Assam, in the whole Northeast.
In the whole Northeast, okay. In fact, I was telling him also, anything which is not counted is not measured, and anything which is not measured is not monitored. That is what management says. And management also says that subordinates do what is inspected. not what is expected. I have seen this. Subordinates will never do anything, barring a few people who are otherwise self-motivated. They will not do anything. They just see the boss. And I used to tell these people in Kaziranga, but unless you really move into forest, subordinates will say, and you will believe, how come this is going to protect wildlife. So there are many areas. Why I am saying this? Why I am saying this? Because there are many species. For example, we don't know the status of Bintu rank. We don't know the status of Malayan sun bear. We don't know the proper status of say Bengal florican. And we don't know the status of butterflies. We don't know the status of orchids in many areas. We don't know the status of say canes and calamus species. There are many cane species. There used to be leasing areas from where cane used to come, and the cane furniture you would have seen. Now it is rarely there is any harvesting of cane. Whatsoever tribal areas are tribal people are doing, and some watered down version, or what I should say lower quality canes are available. So I think there are, if you talk in terms of wildlife, I think first of all there should be proper survey. The IUCN classifications are there, and highly endangered, critically endangered, vulnerable, all these categories, and no data. So first of all, there should be proper survey, because there are, I don't know, there are maybe few researchers who are saying that this is vulnerable. Maybe that is critically endangered. So there are, I think it needs to be really, there should be following scientific rigors, there should be proper survey. But there are many species, for example, butterflies and orchids are really highly threatened. And as I told you, Malayan sun bear, we don't know the status, proper status.
Please. Mike.
Hi sir, I'm Hari. I'm asking few. The question is related to the one image you had shown as well, where the tigers were migrating from one place to another, and I'm also working in the northeast around these areas. But so one of the questions which I had was, forest department, does it look into the wetlands or the river islands which are there, because they are also part of the corridor now, because they have to travel to other places. So we have seen some of the river islands where we work in, how they also act as corridors for elephants and rhinos. Now I think the tigers would also use them. So how the forest department looks into those, and how the Ramsar sites are connected to these laws, and in a way, how, because right now I've seen that in just one village where we were working in, the village area was around 3,000 hectares 5 years ago. Now it's 1,400 hectares. So the whole soil erosion, the river island is gone. So how can the forest department help in those ways, or what can we do there? Because I don't know, even if we do plantations, or even if we do something there, the erosion is going to take it away. So what can we do there in order to conserve that corridor, which is not looked into that much, because these river islands doesn't come under forest laws as well?
Sorry, just I will. There are one species which I forgot to mention: vultures. Vultures are almost gone, and this BNHS is rearing vultures in Raja Bankhwal. There are some areas, 5 areas all over the country. They are raising 3 species of vulture, but then vultures are almost gone. So we need to protect vultures. And again, vultures, first of all, you should have an enabling environment. If you, these captive bred vultures, if you really release them into wild, then again they will be victim. There will be collateral damage. Collateral damage in the sense that these villagers, what they do, if say dogs have killed their sheep, then they lace the carcass of sheep with poison. And when these vultures hover over that area, they are killed. So there had been Himalayan griffons which were killed 3-4 times. So I also felt bad. I told these people, well, I can't go to every DC, but you hold meetings with DC, this agriculture officer. Unless we have enabling environment, it is very difficult. Even if you release, again, it will be just like Sisyphean efforts. You slide back again to zero. You make some effort and again you come back. So that is the problem. So vultures are very important. But again, as I told you, because they are living in urban environment, and if you don't have an enabling environment, if you don't sensitize this agriculture, sensitization is very important. Once my Manas director told me, sir, these people are doing this, doing that, they are not sensitized. I asked him, are you sensitized? First you tell me. First of all, forest officers need sensitization. You are not sensitized, bhai. आप दूसरे को क्या sensitize करोगे? है नहीं? So again, dear, coming back to your question. Now rivers, Brahmaputra, it is huge river. Now we say that flood here, flood there. A flood will come because you are in the flood plain. It is not that floods are there because you are in the flood plain. This whole Brahmaputra is flood plain. All these plains, they have been carved out by rivers, ecologically. So even if you made some structure, Brahmaputra is such a huge river, with such a volume of water, with such a force that it can't withstand the force of this river. So first of all, islands will, alluvion and diluvian, they will be created, they will be finished. That process is natural process. Alluvion and diluvian, that will happen. Only thing is that you should have surveillance mechanism in those areas. For example, if we have Kaziranga Tiger Reserve and these animals which are in the core area, and if they are dispersing into the neighboring areas through islands, then we should have some surveillance mechanism there. Either your human beings, but now human beings is better than human beings are technology. You have electronic eye or something which will really capture someone if somebody is really intruding that area. So corridors are very important, as you are saying. And then you are talking of wetland. Wetlands are very, very important. Wetlands are there for flood management. Wetlands are repositories of many, many aquatic flora and fauna species. So wetlands are very, very important. But I will definitely concur with you that unfortunately wetlands are not being taken care of. Wetland can fetch you a lot of money also in terms of tourism also, fishing also, but wetlands are mostly with the agriculture departments. They are in very bad shape. This agriculture department is, I think, is not managing wetlands properly. But then there are many wetlands which are outside forest department. For example, in Assam, if you go to Sibsagar, there is one Pani Dihing bird sanctuary. So I was PC chef there, so I went there. Let me see how is Pani Dihing. I found what a rundown system. No surveillance, nothing. My own department. So these wetlands are really, they need really a leg up. They need nearly some kind of investment, some kind of institutional surveillance mechanism. I fully agree with you. There are many wetlands in Northeast which are really, they are repository of many fish species. Chital mass. They will say CHEEETL, chital mass. It is huge fish. Very tasty fish. Very tasty fish. And so many wetlands of Kaziranga, you will see this chital mass. They say chital. Assamese don't say cho, they say so. Chital mass. So yes, they are definitely spawning ground for many fish species.
And actually, just to add that, political will also plays an important role. There's Loktak Lake. I was reading the plan to develop as a golf course. Last period of dancing there. So
No, that is not a dominant or majoritarian plan. That may be some bizarre idea from somebody who doesn't have his any touch to the ground, who doesn't have any ear to the ground. These are the people who are in their imaginary world. They don't know India. They don't know India. Although I think that maybe it is not a politician. Politicians are very smart people. Believe me or not. They are really smart people because they are working with the public. I will tell you one thing. When I was there, we have one national park called Orang. From Orang National Park, one tigress went out of the area. And this tigress was roaming around here and there, and they are very smart, very human beings. Sometimes we are just in very pale light compared to these wild animals. And we think we are very smart, but we are not that smart. And this is something which is wrong notion we are really entertaining in our minds. So this tigress went, and this our forest minister, who was middle school teacher otherwise, from Silchar. So he was our minister. And this tigress, and I sent some veterinary doctors. They went in elephants. They tried one trick, another trick, but tigress was always ahead of all these tricks. They couldn't do. For 6 months they couldn't capture the elephant, this tigress. And then in one meeting the minister was there and I was also there. मंत्री बोला कि अरे यार क्या है भैया जी, मेरे को भैया जी बोलता है, भैया जी यार आपका जो है ये जो डिपार्टमेंट है ये एक बाघिनी को नहीं पकड़ सकता है. The whole department can't capture a tigress. I told him, again same thing I told, sir, anything which is in nature is much more smarter than the thing or species which is not rooted to the ground. They know every trick. They know every trick. They will kill, say, some hog here, some boar. And if they sent something there, some disturbance there, they will immediately leave and go to 5 kilometers. Normally we think that if they have made some kill, the tiger has made some kill, tiger will remain there unless the whole flesh is finished. They don't do that. The moment they suspect that something is there and there are some veterinary doctors who are on the trail of the tigress, then they know the scent of veterinary doctors. My veterinary doctor, you think you are very smart. This tigress is much more smarter than you. Much more smarter than you. So, yes, that is true.
So actually we are running out of time and we should wrap this up now. And thank you, sir, for taking time and sharing your experiences and being honest in the conversation. And thank you everyone for coming today. And we are already over the time, but this recording will be put it up on the YouTube and website. So this thing, and I will request my colleague to
just one thing I want to say. They say science is true, not scientist. Same thing here. Let us fight for the truth. Always say truth. Why should mince our words? If something is wrong, it is our country, we should say this is wrong. If my department is wrong, then why should I say? I never allied with department or bureaucracy, no, never. So we should always speak truth, and we should not be in fool's paradise. False optics are very dangerous. Never give false optics. Let us be truthful to what is happening on the ground. So this is exactly, that's why I am saying that we should not hide anything. So it is all hunky-dory. It is not hunky-dory. There are lot many problems. So, and somehow we just cover our tracks. साहब सब ठीक है, ठीक नहीं है भाई, गड़बड़ है.
Please, this memento.
Hey.
Small book.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
So thank you for being here.